In this video we are going to learn about reproduction in plants.
What is reproduction?
The production of new individuals from a parent is known as reproduction.
What are the vegetative parts of a plant?
Vegetative parts of a plant are roots, stems, shoot buds and leaves. Modes of reproduction in plants.
In plants, reproduction is carried out in two modes: asexual and sexual. What is asexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction is a mode of reproduction in which only one parent is involved in reproducing offspring.
Asexual reproduction in plants occur through budding, vegetative propagation, and spore formation.
Budding. In this type of reproduction, a small bud-like outgrowth gives rise to a new plant. The outgrowth remains attached to the organisms until it is fully grown. It detaches itself and lives as an individual organism. Example: yeast. We now see how yeast reproduce. Yeast reproduces asexually by budding. The small bulb-like projection coming out from the yeast cell is called bud.
The bud gradually grows and gets detached from the parent cell and forms a new yeast cell. The new yeast cell grows, matures, and produces more yeast cells. Budding yeast cell under the microscope.
Fragmentation. In this asexual reproduction, the parent organism splits into several parts and each part grows into a new individual. Example: algae. An algae breaks up into two or more pieces. These fragments or pieces grow into new individuals. By fragmentation process, the algae cover large areas in a short period. Spore formation. In this type of reproduction, a new organism grows from the spores. These can spread through wind and animals. Spore of moss. What is vegetative propagation? It is a type of asexual reproduction in which new plants are produced from different vegetative parts such as leaves, stems and roots. The vegetative propagation in sweet potato takes place by the roots. Rose plant reproduce through vegetative propagation by stem cutting method. In this, a part of a plant, specifically stem or leaf, is cut and planted in the soil. The lower end of the cutting is buried in the soil and the upper part, having the bud, is kept above the ground. The new plant is formed from the cutting above the ground. How does a potato reproduce? Potato reproduce through vegetative propagation by their stems.
What is the eye of a potato?
Eye of potato is the axillary bud.
Why do farmers sow the seeds apart from each other? So that each seedling gets enough water. Each seedling gets enough nutrients for growth. In sexual reproduction in plants, the reproductive part of a plant is the flower. The male and female gametes are produced by flowers. Flowers mainly have petals, sepals, stamens, and pistils. Petals are the beautiful colored part of the flower that attracts birds and insects for pollination. Sepals are the green leaf-like structures which protect the flower in the bud stage. Stamen is the male reproductive part. The stamen is made up of two parts, the anther and the filament.
Pistil or carpel.
It is the female reproductive part of the flower. It consists of 3 parts: stigma, style, and ovary. Stigma is located at the tip of the pistil. This is the part of the flower that is sticky and collects pollen. The style is the long stalk that supports the stigma. Ovary is located at the base of the flower. It has seeds inside known as ovules.
Bisexual flowers.
A flower that possesses both stamens and carpels is called a bisexual flower.
Unisexual flowers. A flower that possesses either stamens or carpels but not both is called a unisexual flower. Examples: coconut flowers and papaya.
Pollination refers to the transfer of pollen grains. Male reproductive cells. From an anther to the stigma of the same or another flower.
Now we see how pollination of same flower takes place.
Here pollination takes place from an anther to the stigma of the same flower. Now we see how the pollination takes place from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower.
What is known as fertilization?
Fertilization refers to the union or fusion of female and male gametes of plants after a process of successful pollination. Wind, water and insects are the 3 different agents of pollination.